Hey everyone, it's Chris Shelley back with more iRacing. This time we're doing ARCA cars at Charlotte. Here's my qualifying run. So you want to get up to speed and sort of rip the high side as much as you can to build as much momentum. Take the green flag. This is the legacy Charlotte track, so it's a lot smoother than the current version. A lot more grip. Really get to have fun. Just let it rip around these corners. The most difficult thing I would say is just the way you sort of load into the banking and out of the banking. There's a lot of elevation change. And another thing to consider is that the track is very asymmetrical. So 3 and 4 is a bit more narrow than 1 and 2. It's not super noticeable, but it's subtle enough to the point where you don't really see it on the map, but when you drive it, you feel it. So here's my lap 2. You want to lift off a little bit and then try to get back to the gas when the car lands. Try to be careful if it's going to be very oversteer at the start of a run. Sort of similar thing, you want to lift off for a little bit just to get the car pointed, then get back on the gas, roll to it. Can't get too aggressive with it. You got to really make sure you're getting to that apex near the center, and then voila. That's a 30.46, I think. The fastest guys I've seen were running 30.3s in qualifying. I did most of my practice for this race in testing with the time fixed. So the track temperature was a bit higher when I was testing than it was in this session start of qualifying. So that's something I could have worked on sort of to prepare for this qualifying session. You guys know I always race better than I qualify usually. So on's the race. All right, 40 lap race. You know the usual game plan for these mile-and-a-half tracks with these ARCA races. It's about the same race plan every time. Try to take it easy those first 5, even 10, maybe 10 laps. I would say this track is not super tire uh, wear heavy, so I would say just wait about 5 laps and then start digging. And even when you are digging, those first 20 laps, first half of the race, you don't want to be ever going over the limit. You might want to be about 5% of what you can, so you don't go where you're tired out too early. We started P6, our qualifying effort. Some pretty strong drivers in this field, so it wasn't easy to start towards the front. I have a number 3 though, so we're looking to try to get that podium finish. So off to a solid start, we were able to get the single file pretty quickly. So just tire saving here. Saving the right front isn't too hard. It's very oversteer happy. There's a lot of front grip, so I feel like you're not really having to push the fronts too hard when it comes to steering. And as long as you're not steering the wheel too much and you're just letting the car sort of rotate itself, especially if you can do a little throttle induced oversteer, then it's really not that hard on the right front. As long as you don't make it hard on the right front. And you can see some guys are going all out right away. I never go all out in the first few laps of these races. Just because you can go fast, so doesn't at the beginning of a run doesn't mean you should. So just run around for a bit. Field spreads out a little bit in the back. A lot of people reach on the high side. Now I did end up running involuntarily, sometimes running the high side. Uh, I wouldn't recommend it. I definitely think running the bottom, running the white line, and just ripping the bottom is the best way to go. Not only is it best for your tires, but I think there's not much multi-groove, uh, much of a multi-groove grip profile on this track anyway. So there's not really much point to ever go off the bottom unless you have to, if you're trying to make a move or you're trying to defend. You can also see him tapping the brake a little bit, trying to get that extra rotation, try to save some my front tire. So yeah, Mario just riding behind the 7. I'm not trying not to get too aggressive. This is when we were about picking it up, so we're trying to run a consistent, strong pace, but not too strong. Leader is pulling away. I think, who is that? Derek Justice. Pro driver, of course. You can look at his line. Remember, these inputs in the bottom right are not his. They're just mine. Let's see if he's running this. I think the wheel is also... some of these inputs that you see in here are not fully matching. So he runs right around the bottom. Does not have to throw a whole lot of wheel in it at all, really. Sure, he gets a little flick heading to the corner. That's all he needs. Gets it sideways. Rips around the bottom. He's got his wheel pointed essentially straight by the time he's like middle of the exit of the corner. And that's what you want to do, and that's sort of the advantage with this setup, that you know how to drive it. You can really just sort of get the car to turn itself. It's really nice. It's a fun feeling when you can get to it. I unfortunately was not feeling that right. So here I am in the 5th spot right now, still right around 5th, coming up on lap 10. There might be a little bit of dirty air effect, not a lot. I think the dirty air is very understated in iRacing, generally speaking. That's the general consensus compared to real life. You do feel it a little bit, but not. I don't think it hurts. I don't think it hurts it too bad. As bad as it not as bad as it should probably, compared to real life. It's okay though. It makes it more fun racing, especially since all the multi-group, the non-multi-group tracks, it makes it pretty fun. Keeps it pretty fun. So you can see, tap the brake. Doing a lot of coasting. Now in retrospect, I would not have been doing a lot of this coasting. Right, this is sort of the old school way I used to run these mile-and-a-half tracks, is do a lot of just off throttle time coasting, let the engine braking do all the work. I don't think that's the way you should do anymore. I think there's definitely a lot more reward of just getting those tires pinned and gripped in order to save tire instead of just letting it coast. So pushing the front tires down to get more front grip does not really wear them as much as I initially thought. So as I learned this week, running this car track combo and running the Xfinity cars at Texas, trail braking is different at these mile-and-a-halfs, and I think I'm going forward and trying to do a little bit more than that. Because this race, I did a second race of this, and I had a lot better time when I was actually doing some trail braking. Anyway, you see we're keeping a good pace. The 22 car is burned up his tires. I was trying to be indirect about saying it when I mentioned not going too fast, but I'll just say it right now. He burned up his tires, pretty sure, early on. So we're kind of all crunching into each other around this second spot. And now here's where I tuck up to the high side, and this is one of my biggest mistakes, I feel, because running this high side was wearing my tires, and I kept trying to get sort of like a really big run. It just was not happening, and I think I would have been better off just running sort of more normal line. You can see I'd sort of lose time and then start to make it back up, but there's not much of a point when you're wearing my tires like the way I was. But yeah, generally speaking, you're gonna want to get a run off the corner and then look down to the bottom and try to execute a pass with the extra forward momentum heading into the corner. So that's why I was arcing those corners out. I realized, okay, this is not really working the way I want it to. So I'll just chill. Another issue with racecraft-wise is you don't want to be having the battle on the bottom against multiple cars. So I was kind of just in a predicament here. There we go, tucking up to the high side again. I think I just overdrove the corner. The high side isn't slow, right? You can stay up there for a lap or two. But I think, yeah, it's inherently not slow, but you're wearing your tires and you're just going to slow down for your peers. And there's contact. And I have to jab on the brakes because this 2 car sort of parks it because he's trying not to wreck. 7 car gets through, gets up to second. I am stuck and I lose a spot. It's the 5 car rips past me. It's just the luck of the draw. There's kind of not much place to go. When there's contact, you're trying to avoid in the quad ovals at any of these mile and a halves. It's always super sketchy because you can't really just tuck high or tuck low. There's always going to be a little bit of a kink you have to do heading through this quad oval. So I kind of just had to accept, like, oh, I'm gonna have to just sit on the brake on the straightaway a little bit so I not run this guy over, which is fine. I'd rather end up coming out of that in 6th place than coming out of it in last. 22 cars got some weird stuff going on, battling 2 as well. 6 cars coming up on me, and now I'm just like, bro, can I please get past me, man? This guy's bored his stuff off though, so I think after this, heading to this corner, I get the move on him. 6 car looks, and he just taps the grass, and that kills some momentum. Give me that spot. And now you see I'm also dragging the brake a little bit more. I think I probably could have gotten selectively away, gotten away with a little bit more brake. See, the Derek Justice is way out in front. Derek's way out there. But yeah, no, we are 5th place. We'll take it. Let's try to get back to 3rd. Keep in mind, we did start 6th, so I'm not super upset. Like, we're at least making progress, moving forward. And like I can always keep saying that I race better than I qualify. So just gonna be running sort of like that middle of the groove. Now you do want to stay in the rubber. I think that still is an important thing. You don't really want to go too far outside the rubber generally. Unless you're literally on the wall and using the wall arrow. Here, I just recommend ripping the bottom. Do not try and go any higher than the white line. There's so much more grip on the white line too. So as you may know, there's paint. The paint has a higher friction coefficient, so you literally just get more grip on that paint. Not to mention, if you're on the paint anyway, that means you're doing a better job of utilizing the entire racetrack. Now, we got a little situation here. I think somebody made a mistake. I wasn't sure if it was a 2 or a 7, but we're driving up to the high side, and this is the one time I'm like, okay, I'm fine with the high side. Let me rip around up top and try to make this move. And there's a reason why spotters always like, in real life, always like to say protect your right rear, because if you get to someone's right rear for free, it makes it so much easier when you have that forward momentum. But almost clear him, almost give him the wall though. Would have had him clear otherwise. Had to dip out of the follow for a little bit. Send it off into this corner. Use a little brake, and I'm trying to keep the minimum speed up so he doesn't pass me in the center. Keep the minimum speed up, and then just rip it off the top. And there we go. Back to P4. Now P3. So now we're looking for 3rd place. So we're on lap 23. Laps clicking by kind of quick because there's a lot of action around this middle part of the race. 7 car gets passed by the 2. And now I want the 7. So now I have to figure out how to run this guy down. After ripping the top for probably about like 7-8 laps of ripping the top, I think my tires started to wear, and I was really sort of struggling a little bit of understeer and corner entry. My Once your tire balance goes bad, that's when you're in trouble. Lap times weren't too terrible right now. Like you can see the 7 car, I was a little faster than him lap. But the question is, how long can I keep up? And you see there's a little incident back there. I'm not worried about that. I'm just not gonna pretend that didn't happen. There is a little bit of an argument. I think some guy was upset about someone trying to wreck avoidance, save the car, slapping on somebody. It's annoying. People, and then those people just whine about it the entire race, and then after the race, and then it's annoying. Things happen. You know, people bump into you. I feel like sometimes you gotta let it go, or if you don't let it go, don't bother everyone else with it when you're talking about it the entire race. That's my take on it. Lap times are a little bit faster. I can also go in cam and see how I'm running this. Right now, running 32.1s. You can see the leader is running a 32.145. Cody Gordon in the 2 car, he's running a 31.987. He's flying. You saw just a little bit of trail break in 1 and 2. Then gassing it up once the car lands. Trying to do it in a way that facilitates a little of that extra rotation. I'm sort of leaning on that right rear on exit, which is fine, but I think we're still giving up a little bit of speed on entry to center. But we are faster than these 2 cars, so you see stepping up to the gas and also dipping out a little bit. And I did that when I felt like I could get to the gas, but I knew that after the car lands, it's going to lose a little bit. So when you have to consider the normal force with some of these 1.5 miles, especially these high bank ones, you sort of jump, you have the pump into the corner, right? Like we're about to see. Well, let me talk about this move first. I'm getting speed, I slipstream up, jump up to the high side. I'm going to make that same type of move where you just keep the minimum speed up, and I just ripped past him. Top side, easy move. Check the right rear, folks. 1 and 2 that 1 and 2 second groove is really strong. Really gives you a huge amount of speed on the backstretch. So up to second place. I mean, not second place, third place. I wish it was second place. Oh, my line now. Do a little bit of that trail break, get to the gas, and then dip out just a little bit. Just as the car after the car lands, it's going to be the most grip. So right here is when the car loads the most. That's when you get in the gas. And then I like to just wait on the gas a little bit more because it's after the car lands, it's going to be on neutral on force. It's not pushing into the track as heavy. So I lift off a little bit just to let the car catch itself. Let the rear settle and get back into it. I'm fighting it. Last 10 laps, tires are worn, and we're not out of the woods here. So 5 cars running super hard here. He's got a really strong pace. And I think I could have been using a little bit more brake to get the front to stick, because you can see I'm not really getting the car pointed. I'm running pretty high. Like I'm trying to arc it in, and it's not getting down to the white line. So I'm giving up lap every time. Every time I'm just giving up free speed, because you want to arc it or have as big as arc as possible, and you also want to use that bank grip down the bottom that I just wasn't able to get to. Car wasn't really ripping it that hard either, but he's still using more racetrack than I was, and that's just giving him an advantage. So 8 laps to go. I'm thinking, oh, how in the world am I going to hold this guy off? So for a while, it was fine trying to run the high side, because I was like, okay, maybe I can just defend on the high side, right? A lot of these tracks, you can defend pretty well if you're running high. But each time I run high like this, it's just wearing my tires more and more. I've already done about probably 7 laps before this, just like throughout the entire race, just running the high side. And then I'm committing to about 8 more, trying to defend. It's not really gonna happen. Our pace wasn't that bad, but it's just we can't make it stick. and I couldn't figure out how much brake to use. I think I could have, like I said, could have used probably a little bit more. Just, just especially just set the nose on entry. Just wasn't using enough. Now it is a little difficult when you have this car and oh goodness, this battle and stuff. Lift it out of the throttle, not keep him getting the wall. 6 laps to go. Now this car's brake bias is also criminally high. So front brake bias, the minimum is 60, and then in car adjustment you can get it around 57%. I was running at 57% essentially from lap 5 or 6 or so once I actually started using the brake. And I brought it down. Biker gets around me. I couldn't hold him. The bottom is faster, so at this point the bottom is just faster. Um, that might be due to the outside. There's so much passing and battling going on. The outside has actually happened to heat up. So the track temperature has gone up several degrees, a few degrees Fahrenheit. A lot of that's focused around this bottom groove, probably right around where the right side tires are. It's where they're the hottest, and then that heat probably is still pretty far up the track into that second groove once there's enough battling and racing going on, which is taking away a lot of the advantage of even running up there, right? So if you're running higher but there's no more grip, if the grip coefficient isn't giving you more speed from center of the corner, there's no point in doing it because you're just not making enough power down the straight coming off the corner. You're not making enough speed through the center to keep up in time and not lose. So it's not worth it. That's why we're stuck in fourth. Don't run the high side. Don't run the high side if you can't. It's fine making passes. You saw I made a pass or two there, but you not run it consistently. I was probably better off defending the bottom. If I could have figured out how to get it to rip that paint and also just trail brake better, I would have been faster. You saw my pace wasn't too bad. It was about less than half a tenth off of the leader. Now it's a different story. He was definitely chilling. I don't think he was under any stress at all, but the pace wasn't too slow until it was. Until it was. So, coming to the white flag, I am begging. I'm like, okay, I gotta defend this spot now too. 7 car comes up on me, runs the bottom. I'm like, dang, I can't find any speed here. I'm literally getting a worse run off the corner, running the top than he is running the bottom. But I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna let him pass me here. Keep the minimum speed up through the center to defend and get a decent run off the corner. Have more momentum down the backstretch. Gotta do the same thing in 3 and 4. Don't let him clear me. So he almost gets clear, but he has to back out to not throw me in the wall. Credit to him to not putting me in the wall, and I scare him just a little bit, and let me hold that real quick. 4th place. He did not pass us. So we throw it into the wall after the race, but he managed to hang on just barely. If it was by 0.02 of a second, I could hold on to that spot. So stressful end of the race, but we got it. 4th place, not bad. Tire wear, tire balance. Run the bottom. Run the bottom. And trail brake. Trail brake as much as you can, as best as you can. Especially late in the race, it looked like a lot of people were just able to trail brake a lot better than I was. So I think that's the main key with this 1.5 miles, and me really making sure I get that every last inch of speed, because I think my speed wasn't that bad. It's just what's gonna take me to the next level. Plus 17 iRacing, decent amount of points. You take this. Thank you guys for watching. I'm Chris Shelley. Hope you learned something. Hope you enjoyed the race. And hope you are looking forward to watching more. See y'all later. Please like and subscribe for more.